Imagine the future of finance.
Every company will be a fintech company.
The future of finance will be rooted in extreme customer centricity.
Real-time, more efficient, less error-prone, more affordable.
Technology like blockchain massively disrupt the bank infrastructure, but not the bank.
Hyper-efficient digital bank on a modern technology platform with a sophisticated design system that could help improve people's financial lives.
Banks and fintechs are actually trying to do the same thing.
There's more partnership opportunities between fintechs and banks than there are competitive dynamics.
Any type of business can offer banking-like services to their consumer groups in different ways and shapes and forms.
Fintech-driven economy that's more embracing of the underserved of America.
Continue and prosper into these industries that are more heavily regulated.
Increasingly, choices are made around flavors of technology that developers are comfortable with, and a little bit less around brands and services.
Every company is a tech company. I think we're moving to a place in the not too distant future where every company will also be a fintech company. In the last 10 years or so, the technology that's right now fueling artificial intelligence, right? Cloud, the ability to take in and manipulate massive data sets, mobile devices, creating all that data so that you've actually got something to work with. Those tools are being used to mimic human intelligence. We think there's a really interesting way to think about those tools also being used to augment human intelligence, and that's where artificial enlightenment comes in.
The future of finance will be rooted in extreme customer centricity. One area that we think would make life easier for consumers is increased consolidation in financial relationships or increased visibility and interoperability. There is regulatory arbitrage in the beginning for smaller companies because there is less oversight. Eventually, it has to be that regulation, controls, compliance is respected and incorporated inside the product. So I think of this as startups should get culturally great at risk and compliance.
Emerging technology with AI and ML coming to scale, the first wave of innovation there was a bit more about driving efficiency, and now it's a lot more about driving insights. Real-time, more efficient, less error-prone, more affordable. I think the cost of these services continue to go down. Easier user experiences.
The value of blockchain, what it brings to the table, the ability to replace trust with truth, and the ability to allow for bilateral marketplaces really provides a foundation for disruption to a lot of the way that things work in financial services. The most important things about blockchain is leveling the playing field. Financial technology and blockchain in particular be applied to circumstances that provide a more inclusive financial ecosystem. I think what you're going to see is technology like blockchain massively disrupt the bank infrastructure, but not the bank. I don't see fintech disrupting the banks. I see the technology overhauling the bank technology platforms. I don't think there's any regulatory arbitrage at all for fintech firms. And in fact, that's why, a lot of them have applied for bank charters. So if there was something inherent in the bank charter that didn't allow you to execute your business, the fintechs wouldn't want a bank charter.
Deep systemic financial inequality in this country that could be addressed by creating a hyper-efficient digital bank on a modern technology platform with a sophisticated design system that could help improve people's financial lives by solving everyday problems. We are the first and at this point only fintech to be operating as a consumer bank with a full OCC national bank charter. And it's a really exciting period of time because a lot of things that I just mentioned are really becoming part of a broader national conversation. The kind of fintech 1.0 was a little bit around infrastructure and point solutions. I think Fintech 2.0 is now about, kind of rebundling some of those and scaling some of those solutions. And I think Fintech 3.0 is going to be around who has the most sustainable business model.
Banks and fintechs are actually trying to do the same thing. We're trying to build this seamless customer experience. But I would describe it as like, there's like a hill here, and in the back end, we're like connecting a million ugly wires. And at the top sits the customer experience. I mean, like wires still clear through the Fed. Like it's actually crazy some of the things that still happen, in the banking industry. But I don't think that I would say that we are certain that, there's certainly lots of banks that have been innovative and that have provided themselves as, banking as a service and products as a service. But we've also seen, I think, an equal number of fintechs try and build infrastructure and sell directly into banks. And so I think that that battle is far from won.
There's more partnership opportunities between fintechs and banks than there are competitive dynamics.
I think the opportunity is for many, many different types of organizations, not just fintech companies, but basically any type of business can offer banking-like services to their consumer groups in different ways and shapes and forms.
Consumers are going to feel more power. They're going to be less patient. They're going to ironically unbundle more and more, where they'll have specific providers for specific products. Unless there's a really good reason to put them together, consumers will progressively unbundle as a result of information asymmetry or power imbalances start to diminish. And I'm hopeful, Lynn, that we'll see financial services, particularly in a fintech-driven economy, that's more embracing of the underserved of America.
In my mind, fintech, we're kind of halfway through. But I do think everything, like in life, it's a long tail. The revolution or transformation will never end. This transformation will continue and prosper into these industries that are more heavily regulated. Listening to entrepreneurs, here are the following, right? I think insurance is still drastically underrepresented. What else is coming? Prop tech, properties.
There's a big first mover advantage in the payments world. Your consumer really has a preference for a mobile first, easy to use, the digital native financial services customer has a very high expectation for ease of use. And if traditional financial players aren't able or willing to respond to that, then you have a lasting advantage if you can deliver a superior product. Infrastructure on the back end will follow a similar path where increasingly choices are made around flavors of technology that developers are comfortable with, and a little bit less around brands and services.
There is regulatory arbitrage.
I don't think there's any regulatory arbitrage at all.
Because the regulatory environment is really tough and complicated.